Welcome to Living Forever Free. I'm Mark Matchin,
I'm Jennifer. Nice to see you.
and it is always a wonderful pleasure and honor for us to be with you every week just to share, just to talk.
Kind of bring you into conversations we have.
Yes,
It
because
really is. This is conversations we actually have.
this is the way it is at our house. We talk.
No. He does the talking. I just kind of interject whenever I have a thought.
It depends on the time of day.
Well, it is
Because-
after coffee time, so you talk
Because
more.
first thing in the morning, our routine.
I'm such an early riser, and I'm more vocal in the morning. So
Yeah. And so me, not so much. So
not at all. Not at all.
So
I think we've told you before the routine that we
Yep.
have in our house in the mornings. I've already been up a while. This has been going on, like the thoughts and everything. and so he'll come in. I won't say anything. He'll get his coffee ready, sit down in our little area. He just looks at me and goes, "Go." Okay, let's
and
go.
I'll sit there and just drink while she
While
tells
I
me
talk.
everything that's been on her mind all morning long.
Yep.
So, but then as the day goes along, I start doing the talking.
And then I need coffee more coffee rather.
But we're talking about the forgiving life
Yeah.
and what that looks like to live a life that you just forgive and you can't be offended and you have no bitterness and you can just live from a place of loving people
Yep.
regardless of what they do to you. And so last week when we were talking about this, we dealt with the wrong teaching, the erroneous doctrine that kind of
Somehow
lists,
you're unforgivable
Yeah.
if you don't do this.
if you don't forgive
By God.
people, then God won't forgive you. And it's just a misinterpretation or better yet, a misapplication of what Jesus said when he actually made that statement. If you don't forgive
Yeah.
people their trespasses, then your heavenly Father won't forgive you. But what we found last week is that this was talking to people under the law before the cross. And so absolutely they were living under a system where
Well, I mean, he said himself, I'm here for the Jews.
Yeah.
For the Jews.
only sent to the
I'm
lost
only
house.
sent to the Jews. So us as Gentiles at the,
But they were living under a system where if they did wrong, then they were under the judgment of God.
we weren't invited to that party.
That's true. But the cross changed everything.
Right.
And so we found in Ephesians chapter 4, that verse 16, it says, be tenderhearted, kind to one another, forgiving one another,
Yeah.
even as God in Christ also forgave you. And so because of the cross, he took judgment.
Yep.
He took every wrong thing. And so God isn't waiting for us to forgive people so that he can forgive us. He already did that.
I sent my son.
Yeah. He already did that.
That's
But we kind of ended talking about how some people kind of use this idea as one, either hey, I know I did you wrong, but you have to forgive me. Or they just say if you don't forgive, then you're going to go to hell.
It's implied, yes.
I've literally heard people preach that
Yep.
because God can't forgive you. And then the idea is if God doesn't forgive you, then you're going to hell.
So I had made a statement last week that forgiveness is not for the other person,
Yeah.
but it's for you.
Yeah.
So can we kind of talk about what exactly does forgiveness look like? It just popped up. I know we haven't discussed this, but what does forgiveness actually look like? Because, we know people, and now I guess it all depends on what the situation is, that say they forgive somebody, but yet, they refuse to talk to them. They refuse to have any communication with them. Or you find themselves not, again, I know that there are situations where it's
Abusive.
abusive.
Yeah.
Like, you can't put yourself, abuse is illegal.
Right.
It's illegal. But so can you tell me, or maybe we can talk this through?
Yeah.
What does the forgiveness look like? Maybe take certain situations, and what does it look like in this situation, or what does it look like in this situation? Can we talk about that possibly?
Sure, Jennifer.
Or
Let's
did
do
I
that.
just take you in the wrong direction? I'm sorry. It just popped into my head.
Well, if it popped into your head, I'm telling you, anytime those questions pop into your head, it's because other people are asking the same questions, and I believe that's always spirit led. So that's the direction.
Because see, I can look at my own life before the truths that we know. And, I said I forgave people, but yet I would totally not have anything to do with people because I don't want to, I'm trying to protect my heart.
Yes.
Have you heard this before?
Oh, yes,
I'm
of course.
not getting involved because I am protecting my heart.
Yep.
Okay. So
Or
go.
and I'm protecting myself and go while she drinks her coffee, and go. So I'm trying to protect my heart. I'm trying to protect myself from being hurt.
And
I'm
again,
trying
I'm
to.
not saying you're to treat everybody, especially again in abusive situations. There are things that there's wisdom involved,
Yeah.
but it's not a. It's just. I get it. There's
Well,
different situations.
Well, let's start. Let's start with the root.
Okay.
First of all, and that is this. And we looked at this in Colossians chapter 3, where it says, "As the elect of God, holy and beloved, you're so loved."
Yeah.
That first of all, to answer the question, does the Father not forgive us? No, He absolutely has.
Right.
And so you never have to question ever, ever, ever in your life that your unforgiveness is somehow withholding God's love from you,
Right.
or that's withholding His forgiveness from you. The Scripture is very clear in what I just quoted in both Ephesians 4:16 and Colossians 3, that we forgive even as Christ already forgave us. And so He moved first. And so now it's not that we move second because that's what we're supposed to do. It's because that's who we are. We are children of God. We have His character. We have His nature. And as He is, so are we. So as He does, so we do. As a result of that, right?
Yeah.
And so again,
Because to me, it's so much more than that. The act of forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's more of, again, talking about, it's about our heart, but it's more of learning to love,
yeah,
learning what love looks like in this situation. It's just not about forgiveness. It's like, can you go beyond being able to forgive as to how do I love people? How do I love them?
because what does this have to do with Forever Free?
Everything.
Everything.
Really, honestly,
Because
everything.
oftentimes when people are like, teach me how to be free, teach me, and so they're wanting.
Are we going to talk about this and this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
because that's where it happens.
They're wanting God to do something in their life. How do I experience this freedom while they're not really focused?
And maybe my question ties into what we're about to get into, the vertical and the horizontal part.
Yeah, I mean, the quick version of that is you have to get I call it vertical grace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have to get a revelation and an understanding of just how much you're loved, how much you're forgiven,
And
what
that's
God
where it
has done for
starts.
you
Mm-hmm.
that you cannot do for yourself. You've got to understand you can't earn the love of
Mm-hmm.
God. You can't earn the forgiveness of God. You can't earn anything that comes from God. It is all by His grace. All you have to do is just believe it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly.
And so many people, and like us, we got set free from the love of the Father, and in our heart, and set free from guilt, shame, and condemnation, and
Right.
all of that. But then that's where so many people stop.
And that's where you cease to grow.
That's right. Um, because they
Because growing in, let's just say, in the Spirit, in the Lord, or whatever, it does require interaction with the people around you.
It's what I call horizontal
That's
grace.
right.
The
Horizontal
vertical
grace.
grace is you and God. You're good. The horizontal grace is
It's where people don't
is
venture
is
out.
you and your wife may not be good, and where you're allowing the revelation of the love of God and who He is to be expressed through you
Right.
to others. And
Yeah.
so what happens is people can be saved in their spirit and still messed up in their soul
Absolutely.
and in their relationships and with hurt and with pain. But Jesus came to save you there too
Oh,
and
yeah.
deliver you. So what we're talking about is so key. It
Well, we call
actually
that abundant life. He wants you to live it here, and
we've walked this out
yeah.
in various situations,
Yeah.
and it is one of the key things. What we're talking about right now is one of the key moments in our journey
Yeah.
with and here's the thing about the journey of freedom.
Yeah.
Okay, the journey of healing,
Yeah.
any of that it's not the journey to the outcome. It's not a journey of when will I be healed. It's not a journey of when will I be free. It's a journey of the heart. When will my heart be persuaded to the truth?
Yeah.
And when the heart's persuaded to the truth,
We've learned enough that He takes care of everything
Come on.
else. He does.
yeah,
He does.
man, our Father is so good,
Yes, He is. He is beyond good.
beyond good. So then you ask the question, what does forgiveness look like? So it's key. It's important. Okay, because when you forgive others, here's the reason why it's so important. We are so good about, as Christians, we got all these messages we can watch on YouTube. We've got
Oh, Lord.
church, we got
Information
conferences,
overload.
and we got our favorite preachers
Yes, we do.
that we agree with,
Oh, yeah.
and we can, and we'll take it and like, absolutely, I'm loved by God. Absolutely, I'm forgiven. We agree with the Bible. We agree with the teaching here, and so we think we believe, but what we believe is actually only expressed. It can only be measured. Let me say it that way. It can only be measured in the way it's lived out. That's a really good statement.
Yeah.
What you believe can only be measured in the way it is lived out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Jesus said over and over again, by their fruit
Yeah.
you shall know them.
Yeah.
That was the measuring.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a revelation of forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
the only way to really measure how deep that revelation goes and that understanding goes for you
Mm-hmm.
is in the way you forgive others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, my revelation and my understanding of how forgiven I am doesn't go quite as deep as I think it does. we can deceive ourselves into thinking that we really understand it, when in reality,
You don't.
you don't.
You really don't.
And so for us,
Unless you can walk it out.
for us,
We
if
had to
it
learn how to do
if
that.
it's not being walked out,
Mm-hmm.
then for us, we understand that we don't fully have it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Our heart hasn't completely
Mm-hmm.
got it yet.
Mm-hmm.
As much as we agree with it, as much as we say we believe it,
Mm-hmm.
we look at what our heart to others looks like.
And that's the one thing I think I learned to do is that, like, in whatever situation might be happening, I measure what's my first response,
Yeah.
what do I find myself thinking about, and what is my emotion in this. And so I've learned along the way that always check those things, because if those aren't, and if those aren't right,
You
I
know.
mean, come on, when you're wrong.
Yeah.
You may not want to admit it, but when it's wrong. But I'd like to believe about myself that I am humble enough to submit to what the word says about the situation and make the decision to follow what that said instead of those other three things. Like, those are the measuring stick to see if I'm actually,
Give me the
if
three
that's what-
things.
okay, I don't know. I just,
You just said what am I thinking?
what am I thinking? What's my emotion?
What's your
and
emotion?
what's my reaction?
What's your reaction?
Yeah, to it.
Yeah.
What do I do?
So,
What's the first response?
so you're beginning to answer the question. So, what does forgiveness really look like in different situations? So why don't we just take a couple of
Because we've had a few interesting things happening, and in just life and other things.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so what's that's my measuring sticks, those three things. So, okay, let's just get it to back where it needs to be. And
Well, I think one of the first areas that we could talk about is marriage, because you have two people who are living life together.
Yep.
And are going to do things
differently.
but that either annoy each other, upset each other.
Oh,
That would be those things, right? Wait a minute. Let's not talk about marriage. Let's go somewhere.
No.
Let's go
No,
somewhere else.
where my mind went, right?
No, I'm scared.
What video did you play this morning? Can't tell you that, but it's funny.
Oh my goodness. Good day, sir. Oh my gosh.
Can't share that one with you. That was funny.
Everybody's wanting to know.
Oh, but we're not.
But
We're
we're
not going
not.
to share. Nope, not
There
going
are
to share.
some things that you can tease each other about privately that should stay private. Oh, all right. I just didn't know where you were going with that.
Oh, come on. You knew. Come on. That didn't even come to mind at all?
Maybe
Never
it
even
did,
thought, oh, okay.
but I didn't think your mind went there.
Then you don't know me very well.
Well, don't get offended.
I'm not.
Forgive me. But seriously, like, we can take different situations. We can take like an employee and a boss situation, employer. We can take children. We can take church.
Yep.
We can take a pastor.
I mean, even in marriage,
Yeah.
you've got different views on, like, in the discipline of a child. One may see it this way. One might see it the other way. What do you do?
Yeah.
Because somebody's going to get upset.
So I'm just keeping all the comments together right now
Okay,
that I'm
just
thinking.
keep it in. Say what needs to be said.
Yes,
Not everything.
not what I want to say.
Yeah.
But marriage is a great example because you have to live with that person,
Yes.
and so you don't get unless you decide to separate or divorce, you don't get the option of saying I forgive them and I'm going to love them from afar.
That's exactly right.
You're right there in the thick of it every day. And so
To me, that is a perfect place to start.
yeah, so it's a perfect place to start. So um, most of our marriage, I've done everything perfectly, right?
Sure.
Or not? Which would you say?
No comment. I plead
Oh,
the
no
fifth
comment.
on that.
See, what we're going to do here is we're going to demonstrate what forgiveness looks like lived out right in front of you.
Go ahead.
But let's say for the first 22 years of our marriage, that we had moments of happiness and peace and joy,
No, yeah. I mean, not all of it was
right?
horrible.
And we had moments, and periods of time where you were very angry with me and very bitter and upset for whatever reason.
Just stupid stuff.
Yeah. So,
Well, when you get on a roll, it's just about everything.
yeah. Can I just ask a question for all men out here?
Okay.
Why is it that women, like, they remember every wrong thing that we've done? Why is it that there's a list there? It's like,
Because you haven't forgiven.
hello.
Is that the answer you're looking for?
Well, I mean, to think about it, like how often, when
Well,
when I do
sometimes,
something wrong,
okay, it may be that the forgiveness isn't there.
yeah, maybe we're off
Number
topic
one.
here,
And number
but
two,
inquiring
you
minds
keep
want
it
to
in
know.
your arsenal for you to use it later on.
Ah, now talk to me about that.
Like if you ever want to get to where you want to prove a point, you'll
Yes.
go back and point out things that, you think will help your case.
Yeah, but it's like you remember everything.
I don't now.
No, you don't now.
I really don't.
And so that's an important part because love.
Because I
Yeah.
know I'm not who I was.
Yes.
And if I choose to be someone that is going to be one that wants to continue growing in the Lord, growing with Him, being just more in the Spirit, more in the Spirit, more in the Spirit, if you keep going back to the past and remembering those things, it's just not part of growing.
Because what can happen is when you say, but you always do this. You did it this time. You did it that time. That what's happening is you're allowing, you didn't fully forgive the first time. You're allowing resentment and
Bitterness to
and
stay.
an expectation that, like in my case, I didn't change and I'm not going to
They're just
change.
going to do it again.
I'm just going to do it
Why
again.
do I forgive someone? Why do I have to keep forgiving someone if they just constantly do it over and over?
Right. Because there is this deception that if you don't hold it over them, or that if you
They're never going to change.
yeah, like you need to hold it over them, and that's going to force the change. And it does the opposite. Or that if I just forgive them, they're just going to keep being the same person. Well, what if they do? Does that change on the forgiveness?
Well, I mean, in my case, with the change in me, you didn't stop doing the things that would make me angry.
That's true.
My attitude toward them changed.
That's true.
Now, but I think one of the things that is important is that if you can ever get to, I mean, for me, it's really hard to pray for someone to change
Yeah.
when there is that unforgiveness, because it's like that prayer never gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, and it's like you can pray for them to change, but maybe just loving them will change.
You changing and you
Yeah.
doing what the word says, you following the Spirit of the Lord, because and we've seen this in so many families where you've got one that's constantly preaching
Yeah.
and nobody's changing. Well, guess what? Stop speaking and just be, just act toward them
Yeah.
the way the Father would in love. And we have seen time and time again, not just that person change that was having the problem, but the person that they were wanting the change from. You see it.
Yeah.
You see it.
And so when you started getting a revelation of just how loved you are and what the new creation was, how did you change towards me? Even though maybe there's some areas
We've said this before. So a lot of my insecurities and things came from the fact that I had a tendency to feel like I needed you more than I needed the Lord. I put so many of my
happiness.
my happiness and all of that in you doing certain things that I thought would make me happy. But, and I've used this before. I know people have heard this before. I stopped needing you and just chose you.
That's a powerful thought.
I mean, seriously, when you deliberately choose something, you're accepting it.
Yes. That's
Warts
good.
and all. You know what I mean?
Warts and all.
But yeah.
You
And
know.
so it's just my need, my acceptance from you, or the needs that I placed on you, I just put them on the Father.
So your love and then the ability to forgive and all of that came from a place of, you choose me. Thank you for that, by the way, and just that love, for me. And so, of course, you're going to forgive. But the other thing is,
Well, I also went as far as, yes, I wanted the best for you, but I wanted us to always be equal. But it went to, I want you to excel in everything. Forget about me.
I
I wanted you. I wanted to know how I could be a part of helping God fulfill what He had called you to do.
Wow.
And how I could help. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
because
so it's just like I didn't, in that choosing you, I'm choosing to prefer you over me.
you just hit an important point, because oftentimes our relationships, marriage, it's like there's a competition. Because if I give in to you, then I'm not going to get what I want.
But I also, it wasn't from a place that if I do this, you're going to do it for me. There were no strings attached.
Come on.
Because I know whether it comes from you, it's always going to come from the Father. And if He chooses to use you to do it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But He has everything I need. I don't need anything from you.
Well, we're going to close here.
Okay.
And we're going to continue for the next couple of weeks talking about these things, talking, about these practical examples, how to walk this out in our life. It's the forgiving life. And this is so important. So really encourage you to be a part, stick with this, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. So live the forgiving life and be blessed.